As Star Trek nears the 60th anniversary of the original series, the franchise finds itself in an unexpected paradox. At New York Comic Con, Paramount unveiled first looks at two of its next major projects, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 4 and the long-awaited Starfleet Academy series. The crowd's excitement was palpable, but beneath the applause lurked an issue dividing fans more than ever: canon. In its earliest days, Star Trek never had an official canon Bible. It was a universe that thrived on curiosity, imagination, and interpretation. But 6 decades later, the very concept of canon, once the playground of fans' speculative debates, has become a weaponized standard that risks erasing what made the franchise so endearing in the first place: its flexibility and inclusivity. A franchise without a fixed canon, and better for it. When the original series aired in the 1960s, there was no such thing as an official continuity guide. Gene Roddenberry and his team relied on loose notes and handwritten binders to track alien names, technologies, and star dates, but creative inconsistency was part of the adventure. The show's writers, many of them freelance sci-fi authors, treated the Federation as an evolving mythos, not a rulebook. This creative looseness produced contradictions fans came to love dissecting. One episode depicted the Enterprise crew as experts on Romulan cloaking technology, while another treated the concept as entirely new. In Space Seed, Captain Kirk told Khan Noonien Singh they were in the 22nd century, though the Wrath of Khan later established the 23rd. For fans, these weren't errors, they were puzzles. Only after Star Trek, the motion picture, did Roddenberry attempt to catalog official canon, enlisting archivist Richard Arnold to keep track of story details. But even then, canon served as a guide for writers, not a gate for fans. When canon became a cage. By the time The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine aired, continuity debates had shifted. Instead of debating theories, fans began declaring stories wrong if they didn't perfectly align with established lore. What once invited speculation now fueled hostility. Take the Klingon, for example. Their sudden redesign in the motion picture was accepted as a production update. Yet decades later, when Star Trek: Discovery introduced another visual overhaul, fans accused the series of betraying canon, forgetting that in universe, the Klingon themselves once joked about not discussing their appearance with outsiders. Similarly, Strange New Worlds faced backlash for showing a romantic relationship between Spock and Nurse Chapel, despite the fact that the original series only hinted at her feelings. Rather than enriching the emotional subtext of TOS, some fans dismissed it outright for not aligning perfectly with what came before. Canon should be a conversation, not a commandment. Star Trek's strength has always been in its evolution. Each new iteration, from the animated series to Picard, has reinterpreted familiar elements to reflect its era's values. In the 1990s, Deep Space Nine and Voyager fans still debated inconsistencies, but those conversations built bridges. They invited imaginative explanations, fan theories, and even inspired future storylines. Today's hyperliteral fandom, however, treats canon like scripture, something that must be defended rather than explored. This mindset has fostered a wave of what George R.R. Martin calls anti-fans, online creators who feed outrage and cynicism by nitpicking fictional inconsistencies as moral failures. Ironically, Star Trek fans once prided themselves on their ability to think critically and compassionately about complex systems, from warp mechanics to post-scarcity economies. Modern outrage culture risks erasing that tradition of creative problem-solving that defined Trek fandom for decades. Rediscovering the frontier spirit. The Strange New Worlds Gorn controversy illustrates how modern fandom has changed. When the prequel introduced the reptilian species years before Captain Kirk's supposed first encounter, some declared it a canon-breaking disaster. But when the show later explained the contradiction through the godlike Metrons, recontextualizing Kirk's ignorance as deliberate, it proved that Star Trek's writers were still playing the same long game of layered storytelling. That's the essence of Star Trek: exploration, not just of space, but of meaning. The franchise has always been about reconciling contradictions and imagining possibilities, not policing them. Canon should inspire, not inhibit. As Strange New Worlds films its fifth and final season and Starfleet Academy readies for release in 2026, Star Trek stands at a crossroads. The franchise can either continue chasing perfect continuity, an impossible goal for a 59-year-old universe, or reclaim the creative spirit that first drew fans to the stars. Canon isn't the heart of Star Trek.
Curiosity is.
And if the show has taught anything, it's that infinite diversity and infinite combinations, even of storytelling, is what keeps the final frontier alive.